It's a really simple recipe, basically a pesto artichoke chicken flatbread. It's unbelievable, really, really easy and really quick. Let's quit talking and get right into the video. First thing we're gonna do is get to our chicken. Now today I have some chicken cutlets. Now if you check these out, these are really, really thin. I'm gonna like to do this so that I can cook them really, really quickly. Now today I'm using our Blackstone chicken and herb seasonings. This is really fantastic. If you don't have it, you should go and get it, but you can use salt and pepper instead. So we're gonna hit it with just a little bit of olive oil first, right over the top. And this is gonna give us something that's gonna help the seasoning stick to it. Then we're gonna add a good bit of all of our beautiful Blackstone chicken and herb seasoning. Now we're gonna do this to both sides, add a little bit of olive oil and some of our chicken and herb seasoning to both sides. All right, that looks great. Now I'm gonna get my 22-inch Blackstone griddle set to like medium heat. We wanna get a nice crispy crust on our chicken the second that it hits our griddle. So we're gonna preheat that on medium. All right, now let's grab our gorgeous little chicken cutlets. We're gonna go right onto our hot Blackstone. And we're gonna let this cook for about 3 or 4 minutes per side or until the chicken's fully cooked. Basically what we wanna do is create that beautiful golden crust on the outside, but keep the chicken nice and juicy and tender on the inside. All right, these chicken cutlets look just about done. Let's grab both of these and pull them over to our cutting board. Now, we wanted to cook them really fast so they stay nice and juicy. We're gonna cut these up and look at how juicy that chicken is. The trick to doing that really is cooking it fast. So sometimes if you feel like you've overcooked your chicken, your heat was probably a little bit too low. You wanna start with some high heat, get that beautiful sear on the outside, and then let it cook and finish in its own natural juices. That way we have a juicy, wonderful piece of chicken without it being overcooked. Plus the nice thing is we can always cut it. If it's a little undercooked, throw it back on the griddle, cook it just a little bit longer. Now let's get to our beautiful sauce that we're gonna make. Now I'm gonna add all of the chopped chicken to a large bowl, and we're gonna add some mayonnaise. We're gonna add a little bit of ranch dressing. Now we're gonna add some pesto. If you've never had pesto, it's unbelievable. You can make your own. I decided to buy pre-bought today because I wanted this to be a quick fix, but pesto is basically just pine nuts, basil, garlic, olive oil, some salt and pepper. It's really simple, really delicious, but has a really amazing flavor. It's gonna add a whole new flavor profile to our chicken. So we're gonna mix all of that together until the chicken is evenly coated. Now let's get to our flatbread. We're gonna add our flatbread right to the griddle and let it toast just a little bit on one side. Once that gets nice and toasty on one side, we're gonna flip it and toast it up a little bit more on the other. Now this isn't pizza, this is a flatbread, but we do wanna get that nice crispy texture of the crust. So we're gonna flip it, let it toast on the other side too. Today I'm using my Blackstone stainless steel warming rack, so I'm gonna bring that over to my cutting board and then put my toasted flatbread right on top. We'll get to why in just a second. Now we're gonna take our chicken and spread it out evenly all over that toasted flatbread. Now we're gonna add some of our really fun ingredients. Now this is gonna be really savory, really, really delicious. Even though it's a quick fix, it's gonna have a lot of flavor. We're gonna start with some artichoke hearts. These are quartered artichoke hearts. We're gonna spread those out nice and evenly. Then we're gonna add some black olives. I love black olives. They have such a great, it's not as salty as like a Kalamata olive, but it still has a lot of rich olive umami flavors, those salty flavors. I love it. Then we're gonna add some capers. Talking about salty flavors, this is like a tiny little burst of deliciousness. I love, love, love capers. We're gonna add those over the top as well. Now we're gonna add our finely shredded mozzarella cheese. Be fairly generous with your cheese. We want this to be a nice and hearty flatbread. Now we're gonna bring our warming rack with our flatbread on it right over to our griddle, and we're gonna cover it with a dome. I've reduced my heat to like medium-low at this point because I wanna give the bottom of that crust a chance to get really nice and crispy and allow that cheese to melt. So 5-6 minutes or so, and we should be good to go. Now having our flatbread on our warming rack gets us away from direct heat, so we don't have to worry about burning it or overcooking it, but we're still gonna get the ambient heat to crisp up the edges of the flatbread. And then adding our dome gives us a whole nother layer of ambient heat. But here's a fun little trick. We can grab our Blackstone bottle with water in it and spray that right underneath, and that's gonna give us that steam that carries up underneath the dome, circulates around, and melts the cheese nice and evenly. Our flatbread is all done. Let's go ahead and grab this and bring it over to our cutting board and see how we did. That crust looks amazing. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but it is crunchy and beautiful. Look at that. I like to go in fours and have nice big pieces for my guests. That, my friends, simple, easy. That is a quick fix that is sure to be a crowd pleaser. Let's give it a taste. I'm telling you, these little things are so quick and easy. Oh yeah, and crazy delicious. That is a quick fix. That is sure to be a crowd pleaser. Oh, the capers. You get this beautiful bite of saltiness when you have a caper, and other bites don't have it. So it makes a really interesting adventure on your palate. One bite's different from the next. So good, and that crust gets so, oh my gosh, it gets so crispy. I want to show you guys another fun flatbread recipe. I want to show you a fun twist. We're going to do a chicken sausage gumbo flatbread. It's everything you love about gumbo, well, most things that you love about gumbo on a flatbread. Let's quit talking and get right into the recipe. The first thing we need to do is get to our vegetables. Now, I'm gonna start with my green and red bell peppers, but I'm gonna show you guys a really cool trick on how to clean your bell peppers to get rid of all the seeds and the pith. Really simple, easy technique. Check it out. We're gonna take our pepper, cut off the top, spin it around and cut off the bottom. Now on the side, you'll notice that there's 4 little channels, 3 or 4 little channels, and that's what's holding the seeds and the pith in place. We're gonna take our knife and slice straight down the pepper and then turn it and roll the pepper as we cut the pith away. And what you're left with is a really clean, perfect little de-seeded pepper. Now we're gonna cut it long ways and then short ways to give us a nice little dice of bell pepper. Let me show you guys that trick one more time because it's really simple and you need to start doing this when you do it at home. So we're gonna take another bell pepper, cut off the top, spin it around, cut off the bottom, find one of those little channels and cut right beside it straight down the pepper. Now turn the pepper on its side and roll and cut at the same time until you remove all the pith and the seeds. And there you go. Super quick tips and tricks. It's the kind of stuff I like to teach you, my friends. Now we have our diced peppers. Let's push those to the side. Now we can't have gumbo without okra. I love fresh okra. So we're gonna grab some okra and slice that into nice bite-sized pieces. Now I also have some celery. We're gonna cut that nice and small, roughly the same shape as everything else so far. And the last vegetable is a little bit of yellow onion. I'm gonna give that a nice large dice and mix that in with the rest of the vegetables. Now before we get to our griddle, we're gonna talk about our chicken. Now today I am using a chicken cutlet, nice and thin. We want it to cook quick and fast, right? This is a little quick fix, so we wanna go as quick as possible. I'm using a little bit of olive oil, then I'm gonna grab my Blackstone Crazy Cajun seasoning and be pretty generous with this over the top. We're gonna flip it on the other side, same thing, olive oil and some of our Crazy Cajun seasoning. If you haven't had this one yet, it's unbelievable. It is loaded with flavor, but it has a kick. I mean, it's Cajun seasoning, so it should have a kick, but just be careful with it when you use it at home. You can find those at Walmart all over the country right now. Now we're gonna take our chicken over to our griddle. I'm on about medium-high heat. We're gonna add our chicken down right to our griddle. Now we're gonna let this cook for 3 or 4 minutes per side. We basically want a nice golden crust and to sear in and seal in all of those beautiful juices. I mean, it's a cutlet, it's thin, but we can still get a really juicy chicken. Now to the empty side of my griddle, I'm gonna add just a little bit of butter. And I want this butter to melt nicely, and that's gonna kind of bring all those rich, wonderful, sweet flavors out of our vegetables. We're gonna add all of our vegetables all down to that side of the griddle. Now I'm gonna grab some of my Crazy Cajun seasoning, and we're gonna add some of that to the top as well. And like I said before, this does have a kick. It's really intense. It's an awesome flavor, but it'll get you. It's got a kick. So let's give that a nice little toss, and we're gonna let that caramelize in that beautiful butter just for a couple of minutes. All right, we'll let those vegetables go just a little bit longer and all those flavors develop and sweetness come out. That's one of my favorite things about cooking with vegetables, especially on the flat top. You get a chance for all those sugars to start to develop like evenly as you cook everything. I love it. Let's talk about sausage. Today, I have an andouille kielbasa. I found an andouille kielbasa. It's unbelievable. It is so, so good. If you can't find that, use any sausage that you like. Now we're gonna slice these into beautiful little medallions. We basically want them to be bite-sized so they fit nicely onto our flatbread. All right, so once those are all cut up, we're actually gonna add them right over the top of our vegetables. We're not gonna let them hit the direct heat just yet. We're gonna slowly let them heat up over the vegetables. We'll toss those in just a minute. Our chicken looks about finished. Let's bring our chicken breast over to our cutting board. All right, now we're gonna give it a cut. Remember we said we were cooking with really high heat. Now with high heat, we sear in all those juices. Let's see how we did. That is gorgeous, my friends. Look at this, gorgeous. That is what chicken should look like. We're gonna cut it long ways, turn it and cut it the other way so it's diced and bite-sized. All right, that is looking good. Let's grab one of our gorgeous little flatbreads and we're gonna put this right down onto our griddle. We're gonna let that toast for just a minute or two. Let's give our vegetables and sausage a toss. We're gonna toss the sausage in so they can start to get a little bit caramelized on the flat top. Now something that I like to do when I'm making gumbo on the flat top, it's not traditional, right? So we don't have all that beautiful, delicious broth. So I'm gonna add a bit of beer. So I'm introducing some liquid. That's gonna give us kind of a gravy type texture. We're gonna make our own little sauce. It's like a gumbo sauce. I mean, this is an authentic gumbo, so if you guys wanna hate on me in the comments, that's fine. This is a flatbread gumbo. So we're gonna add a little bit of liquid, a little bit of beer, just to kind of coat all those ingredients and create our own little delicious sauce. All right, vegetables look good, flatbread looks good. It's time to build and assemble our flatbread. So we have our bread over here. We're gonna add some of our vegetables and sausage right over the top. Be fairly generous with it. You don't want it to be too tall, otherwise it's a little more difficult to eat later on, but make it as tall as you want to. It's your flatbread. So we're gonna fill it up with our delicious veggies now. We're gonna grab our shredded mozzarella cheese, and we're gonna put some of that right over the top. This is something I like to do. I like a double layer of cheese because I like cheese. Don't worry about it, leave me a comment if you disagree. I'm gonna put a bunch of cheese over the top. Now I'm gonna grab my chicken and put it over that first layer of cheese. So evenly spread out our chicken right over the top of our flatbread. And now we're adding a second layer of cheese because we can, and we will. So we're adding more cheese right over the top. I'm gonna add my dome and let that melt maybe 2 or 3 minutes, or until all the cheese is as melted as you like. Guys, this is gonna be done in just a second. I'm excited. Are you excited? Let's do this. All right, let's see how we did. Oh my goodness. All day long. That is amazing. Let's bring this over to our cutting board. And that, my friends, all it needs is a slice, and it's time to eat. Let's go ahead and cut it into 4s so we can have nice, large pieces for our guests. And guys, that's unbelievable. I mean, look at this. We've got all those beautiful, delicious ingredients. We got gumbo on a flatbread. Are you kidding me? Your friends are gonna love this. Let's give it a try here.
Let's give it a try.
Oh yeah, all day long. That heat is absolutely perfect. The crust is nice and crispy. You got the sausage, the chicken, the vegetables. All day long, you can't go wrong. This is a good one. You guys will love this when you make it at home. All right, this really is a simple dish. The first thing we're gonna do is get started on our steak. I got some super thick New York strip steaks. I'm gonna drizzle just a bit of olive oil over the top with some of our steakhouse seasoning. This is so rich, so wonderful. You guys can find it at Walmart or at blackstoneproducts.com. We're gonna season both sides. All right, that is beautiful. We want to make sure every single inch of our steak is there. Now we're going to put it down on our flat top, and you hear that sound. That is exactly what we want. It's all those proteins caramelizing. Unbelievable. Let's let that cook for just a few minutes. Now let's get to our sauce. It's really, really simple. We're going to take a bowl. We're going to add just a bit of mayo. We're going to chop up some fresh herbs. Using fresh herbs is like, it's like taking your flavor game to a whole nother level. So we're using some fresh rosemary, some fresh thyme. We're going to chop that up nice and small. Add that to our mayo. We're going to squeeze the juice of 1 lemon. We're also going to add some more of our steakhouse seasoning. Give that a mix till it's nice and evenly incorporated. Smells so good. Dang, that is absolutely delicious. Check out these beautiful steaks. Give those a flip. There's the money. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that, that crust. Oh yeah, all day long. You can't go wrong. Let's let this cook for just a little bit longer. So for my flatbread, I'm also going to add some pear. So I like to take my pear and slice it nice and thin. I like to cut it in half and then in half again so we can get rid of those seeds, and then slice it very, very thin as you can. We don't want this to be a big bite of pear. We just want kind of that little flavor essence of pear, just really accent the beef. All right, those look great. Now here's a little trick I like to do with my steaks. These are just about done. They're looking absolutely gorgeous. I like to flip them up on their side so that I lean it up to the edge and I let that fat side get nice and caramelized. So I'll take it over to the edge of my griddle and then just let that cook just a little bit. We're gonna let this go for about 30 more seconds, and then we're gonna get to our flatbread. So today I'm using some pre-bought flatbread. If you guys have ever had these before, they're really, really delicious. I like to toast them a little bit first. So I've got my other side of my range top set to medium. I'm gonna throw my flatbreads down, and I'm gonna let these toast just a bit. After these are cooked, that fat side starts to get nice and caramelized, just absolutely beautiful. Now we're gonna let these rest. Those need like 3 or 4 minutes to rest. Now let's give our flatbreads a flip. We want it to be nice and toasty on both sides before we add our ingredients. This is gonna help us on the texture side of things, so it's a really crispy flatbread. And once these are toasted, they're looking pretty good, just a little crisp on both sides. We're gonna move them over to our resting rack. And this is gonna keep them warm. It's gonna toast up the bottoms just a little bit more and give us some time to build our flatbread. Let's take this last one over here to our cutting board, and we'll go ahead and start building it. We're gonna take a little bit of that sauce that we made earlier and go right down on the bottom. Not too much, there's a lot of flavor in here. Most of the flavor we want is coming from the steak, not from our sauce. So just gonna add a little bit more flavor to it, just like that. If you're at home, you're making these, someone comes over, I mean, you got people around right now, what do you guys think?
It looks delicious.
Awesome. We had to move over here to watch you fully prepare this.
See, it's party pleasers, party pleasers. So we're gonna give this a cut. We're gonna cut it nice and small. Here's the thing when you're making a steak for a flatbread or anything that you want on a flatbread, everything needs to be bite sized. So if you cut it too big, and you've all experienced it when you take a bite of that pizza and the meat just kind of, like you take that bite and all the meat falls off, you know, it's the worst. So you wanna make sure to cut it bite sized. So we're gonna slice them nice and thin, and then we're gonna slice them again. We're gonna take these, we're gonna kind of go nice and even around all sides. Now this is the fun part. You guys can make your flatbread any way that you like. This is the way I like to do it, so if this is your first go around, go ahead and give it a try this way. If not, do it however you like. So now we have our steak. Now I'm gonna add some arugula. Arugula is peppery. It's actually like a savory green. It's so delicious. We're gonna add some of that over the top and then some of our blue cheese crumbles. This is gonna be really savory and absolutely delicious. Now we're gonna add some of our thinly sliced pear over the top and then our mozzarella. Now we're gonna take this over to our griddle. We got it like medium-low heat. We want that bottom to stay nice and crispy, but we wanna give it a chance for the cheese on top to melt. So we're gonna put a dome on top, let that go, and when it's crispy and finished, it is time to eat. Let's cut it up and give it a try. All right, the very last thing that I like to do is add just a bit of balsamic. We've got all of this savory happening with all of our flavors in our flatbread. This little bit of sweetness is really gonna take it through the roof. So we're gonna do a little drizzle, and that is it. It's time to eat, my friends. Whether you're feeding 2 people or a ton of people, this is a really simple and delicious recipe. You got the sweet, the savory. Crazy delicious. So many different things going on. This is a really fun recipe if you guys